The moon hung low over the forest, spilling silver light across the damp underbrush. Shadows stretched long and thin, and in their midst she moved like a whisper, light-footed, careful. Every sinew of her body hummed with tension, every instinct sharpened by fear and necessity. Her wolf stirred beneath her skin, impatient, raw, hungry to emerge. But she could not allow it, not here, not now. She crouched behind a gnarled oak, her breath slow and controlled, as if the very act of breathing too loudly could betray her secret. Her amber eyes caught a flicker of movement, a rustle of leaves, a snap of a twig, and her heart leapt. The alpha was near. She could feel his presence like a magnetic force tugging at her, testing her restraint. "Come out, little fox." His voice sliced through the night, deep, commanding, laced with that unerring awareness that made her pulse quicken. "I know you're here." A shiver ran through her as she pressed herself closer to the tree, hiding the faint glint of claws beneath her gloves. Her lips curved into a defiant, almost mocking smile. "Then perhaps I don't want to be found," she whispered, her voice barely audible over the wind. He stepped closer into the moonlight, and for a heartbeat, the forest felt suspended in silence. His eyes, golden and unrelenting, scanned the shadows as if he could see straight into her bones. She swallowed hard, trying to still the wolf within, trying to maintain the fragile human facade she had so meticulously crafted for years. A rustle behind him drew her attention, a fox darting through the undergrowth, a false threat, but her heart refused to calm. Somewhere deep, her wolf growled low, sensing the alpha's unspoken challenge, the hidden tension in his gaze. Her chest tightened, and for a fleeting moment, she wondered what it would be like to let go, to shift fully, to show him the power she had so long concealed. But the forest was no place for such recklessness. Not tonight. Still, she could feel it, the pull between them, undeniable and magnetic. He was closer than she had anticipated, closer than she had ever allowed anyone to be. And as the wind carried his faint scent, mingling with the earth and leaves, she knew one thing for certain. Secrets this potent never stayed hidden for long. The night held its breath, heavy and taut, and somewhere, deep in the shadows, the alpha's gaze lingered. Unbroken, unrelenting, aware of more than she could imagine, her wolf stirred, and she knew that very soon hiding would no longer be an option. Her chest still throbbed with the echo of the alpha's presence, the weight of his gaze pressing against her, even in the dim corridors of the pack house. The scent of burning wood and wet earth from the evening storm clung to the air, but it did little to mask the whispers that followed her like shadows. "She's hiding something. I can feel it." A young wolf murmured from across the hall, eyes darting nervously. "Something dangerous." She smiled politely, a careful tilt of her lips that said nothing. Let them whisper, let them wonder. Every glance that lingered too long, every sidelong murmur, only reminded her of the lie she carried like a second skin. Her wolf shifted restlessly beneath her human guise, eager to break free, to run, to howl, to be seen. But she swallowed it down. Discipline, control, patience, that was her mantra. Even walking through the pack's grand halls was a delicate dance. Eyes followed her from portraits of ancestors, from roaring fireplaces, from groups of chatterers who paused mid-sentence as she passed. She moved with practiced grace, masking her claws beneath gloves, masking the faint glow of her golden eyes with a downward tilt of her head. And yet, despite the careful performance, she sensed him. The alpha's presence was always near, a shadow that followed her even when he was elsewhere. It tugged at her senses, drew her attention, demanded that she measure herself against his unspoken expectations. "He knows I'm more than I appear." The thought flashed in her mind like lightning, sharp and dangerous. She could almost feel the brush of his scrutiny even when she was alone, even when the pack was bustling around her. Later, in the sanctuary of the forest behind the pack house, she allowed herself a moment's respite. Moonlight kissed the leaves, silver threads weaving through the shadows. The wolf inside stirred, powerful and restless, and she let her fingers brush against her cloak as if testing the space where the transformation longed to happen. "Why do you hide it?" A voice whispered, though she knew it wasn't meant to be heard. Merely the wind teasing her ears, or perhaps her own doubts speaking aloud. Her jaw tightened. She didn't answer, she couldn't. Her secret was a weapon and a shield, something only she could wield. And yet, the closer the alpha drew, physically and in her thoughts, the heavier the burden became. She knew that every step near him increased the risk of discovery, and every beat of her heart throbbed with the danger of being unmasked. And somewhere, deep in the pack's heart, a question lingered, one she could not yet answer. How long could a wolf hide before the alpha finally saw her for what she truly was? The wind shifted, carrying a scent too faint to name, and she froze, pulse hitching. Tonight, the shadows seemed alive, and she sensed that something, or someone, was coming closer. The ceremonial hall shimmered with torchlight, the scent of pine and burning resin filling the air. The pack had gathered, voices rising and falling in a rhythm older than memory. She stepped inside, head held high, heart pounding like a war drum beneath her ribs. Every gaze landed on her, sharp and measuring, some curious, some suspicious, some dismissive. The alpha stood at the head of the hall, his presence a magnetic force that pulled the room's attention like gravity. Golden eyes scanning, discerning, weighing. She felt the invisible tether tighten between them, the pull she could neither resist nor fully understand. Step forward. His voice cut through the murmurs, crisp, commanding. Show the pack what you claim to be. Her pulse caught. This was the moment she had dreaded, the moment when her carefully constructed lie, the illusion of weakness of ordinary human control, might crumble. She took a step, then another, forcing her body to move with grace, masking the tension that vibrated beneath her skin. You stand here, he said, gaze sharp as a knife, pretending to be something you are not, weak, unproven, unworthy. A hush fell over the crowd and her chest tightened, a fierce heat igniting inside. Humiliation flared like wildfire. Her stomach twisted, shame and fury mingling into a bitter taste she could not swallow down. She had known he might doubt her, she had known rejection was possible, but hearing it declared so publicly, was a knife to the heart. Her wolf stirred beneath her skin, claws flexing, muscles trembling with restrained power. A growl threatened to escape her throat, low and dangerous, but she clenched her jaw, forcing it down. Not here, not now. The alpha stepped closer, his scent brushing against her like the weight of inevitability. Do not fool yourself, he added, voice dropping. The pack has no place for pretenders. Every eye in the room was upon her, some faces twisted in doubt, others in curiosity, but all of them sharpened the sting of her rejection. Her lips pressed into a thin line, trying to hide the surge of anger, the tremor of embarrassment, the sharp heat of something primal waking inside her. She turned away, a soft shuffle of feet against the stone floor, retreating to the shadows where she could breathe, where she could think. The wolf beneath her skin raged, claws itching to tear free, growls echoing in her mind. He will see me soon, she thought, a spark of defiance lighting within her chest. He will see the wolf he thinks is weak, and he will not forget. Outside, the moon hung high, silver and silent. Her heartbeat steadied as she pressed her hand to the bark of a tree, grounding herself, feeling the wolf pulse beneath her skin. Rejection had been sharp, public, undeniable, but it had also awakened something else, a spark, a fire, a determination. And she knew sooner or later the alpha would witness it. Her chest still burned from the humiliation, the echo of the alpha's words clawing at her pride. She had retreated into the moonlit forest, seeking solitude, seeking the only place where the wolf inside her could stretch its limbs without restraint. The night was still, scented with damp earth and pine, and the silver light danced across the leaves like shards of glass. She paused, drawing in the crisp air, letting the scent of the woods ground her, and then she saw him, the alpha, not the commanding figure of the pack hall, but the raw, unrestrained presence that belonged to the forest itself. His wolf form emerged from the shadows like a living shadow of power and grace. Golden eyes glimmered beneath the moonlight, fur rippling like liquid fire, muscles coiled and ready, every movement precise, elegant, terrifying. Her breath caught, awe and fear collided, twining around her chest with an ache that was both thrilling and dangerous. The wolf within her stirred, heart-quickening, instincts screaming to run, to bow, to submit, yet also to rise, to challenge, to claim. He paused, sensing her before she had fully made herself known. Their eyes met across the clearing, a magnetic pull that defied reason. She wanted to turn, to flee into the night, yet something deep in her chest rooted her in place. "You shouldn't be out here alone," he said, voice low, carrying a mix of warning and something else, something warmer, something she had not expected. "I could say the same," she replied, voice steady even as her pulse roared in her ears. She kept her hands tucked close to her body, trying not to betray the faint tremor that danced across her skin. The forest seemed to contract around them, the night holding its breath as predator and prey circled the edges of something unspoken. Every instinct in her screamed caution, yet her eyes could not leave his. Every muscle in her body wanted to move closer, to bridge the distance that reason told her to respect. "You're hiding," he said finally, not a question but a statement, sharp and undeniable. Something powerful, something dangerous. Her lips curved into a faint, almost imperceptible smile. "Perhaps," she whispered, letting the word hang between them like a promise or a warning. The wind stirred the branches, carrying his scent, wild and intoxicating, and her wolf growled softly, aching to respond. For the first time, she felt the magnetic pull between them, not just the tension of leader and subordinate, but something deeper, forbidden, undeniable. And as the moonlight draped the forest in silver, she realized the danger wasn't just in being discovered by him. The danger was in what she felt, what she wanted, and that desire, like the wolf inside her, could not be tamed. The forest had grown restless under the moon's silver gaze, every shadow whispering warnings she could not ignore. She moved through the underbrush, senses alive, every nerve thrumming with anticipation. Her wolf stirred beneath her skin, impatient, aching for release, yet restrained by years of secrecy and fear. Then came the attack. From the edges of the clearing, figures emerged, rival pack warriors, their eyes glinting with malice, teeth bared in cruel anticipation. Their snarls echoed through the trees, carrying threats that rattled her to her core. Fear flickered, sharp and immediate, but beneath it burned something fiercer, a fire she had long denied. "Get back." She snapped, her voice ringing, commanding, though small against the looming threat. The warriors laughed, a harsh sound that twisted in the cold night air. Her heart hammered, her wolf surged, claws flexing, muscles tensing beneath human skin. She could no longer hide. With a sharp intake of breath, her body shifted, sinew and fur merging, bones reshaping. The transformation ripped through her like lightning, raw and powerful. When the last sparks of her human form fell away, she stood fully revealed. Wolf, magnificent and terrifying, fur glinting under the moonlight, eyes blazing gold like molten sunlight. The rival pack faltered, jaws snapping, but hesitation took them by surprise. She moved with lethal grace, teeth bared, claws flashing through the night, every strike precise, every movement a testament to power long hidden. In the chaos, she felt a presence, strong, magnetic, undeniable, the alpha. He had arrived silently, as always, a shadow among shadows, and his gaze locked on her with a mixture of awe and something she could not name. "Impressive," he said, voice low but carrying across the clearing, commanding attention even amidst snarls and snarling wolves. "I didn't know." His words trailed off, caught in disbelief. The rival pack faltered further, uncertain in the face of her raw strength. She did not hesitate. The fight surged around them, but her mind was clear, instincts honed over a lifetime of hiding now unbound. With every strike, every dodge, every calculated lunge, she realized she was no longer just surviving. She was claiming her power. As the last intruder fled, terror overtaking arrogance, the forest fell silent once more. She stood panting, fur slick with dew, golden eyes searching for the alphas. He stepped closer, the weight of his gaze heavy, scrutinizing. "You're," he began, his words hesitant, as if he could not find a title worthy of what he had just seen. "Stronger than I imagined." Her heart thudded, not from exertion, but from the way he looked at her now. The wolf within her howled softly, thrilled and liberated, yet a cautious thread of fear wound through her mind. He knows. He must know now, and in the moonlight, their eyes locked, a silent question between them. How much had she revealed, and how much more would he see? Her secret was out. Her power had awakened, and for the first time, she realized that the Alpha's awareness was both a threat and a temptation she could not resist. The forest was quiet now, the echoes of the battle fading like smoke on the wind. She sat beneath the broad limbs of an ancient oak, muscles still taut from the fight, fur bristling softly as the adrenaline ebbed. The moonlight filtered through the branches, casting silver patterns across her golden eyes. Her wolf lingered, restless but controlled, hungry, curious, sensing the Alpha's presence even before he stepped fully into the clearing. "You didn't have to prove anything tonight," he said, his voice low, calm, yet threaded with an intensity that made her heart stumble. She didn't look up, letting the wind brush against her muzzle. "Perhaps I did," she murmured, the words carrying both defiance and something deeper, unspoken. "Perhaps I've been waiting for the right moment to show it." The Alpha's gaze softened, but only slightly, a flicker of something raw and unguarded behind the commanding exterior. He crouched a careful distance away, eyes locked on hers. "You shouldn't let the pack see this side of you. Not yet, but I need to know you, really know you." Her ears twitched, heart skipping at the admission, at the weight behind it. She had feared him before, feared his judgment, his power, his scrutiny. But now she felt something else, a magnetic pull, dangerous and irresistible. "You want to know me?" she asked softly, letting the words tremble on the edge of vulnerability. "Even after everything I've hidden." He took a step closer, the moonlight catching the sharp lines of his face, the raw energy coiling around him like a living thing. "Especially because of it," he said, voice low, intense. "The wolf you hide, it fascinates me, terrifies me, and I can't stop thinking about it, about you." Her wolf growled low in her chest, a deep rumble of longing and hunger, mirroring the tension crackling in the space between them. She could feel the pull of his presence as a tangible force, pressing, testing, teasing. "Careful," she whispered almost to herself. "The moment I shift fully, nothing can stop it. Then let it come," he said, the words a challenge and a promise all at once. "I want to see everything you are." The air between them pulsed heavy with desire and danger, an unspoken acknowledgement of the forbidden bond threading through them. She pressed her pole, or hand, against the bark, feeling her wolf's heartbeat sync with hers, their instincts entwining. One glance at his golden eyes and she knew. This connection was no longer just about secrecy or survival. It was something deeper, something neither of them could ignore. And in that silver-lit forest, with danger and desire dancing side by side, she realized the wolf she had hidden for so long had finally found a mirror in the Alpha, and the temptation to let it loose was nearly irresistible. The tension had barely settled from the forest encounter when whispers reached her ears, rumors of a rival pack encroaching on their territory. At first, she thought it mere gossip, the sort of chatter that always stirred unease among the pack. But the forest itself seemed to warn her. The wind carried the faint, sharp scent of unfamiliar wolves, and even her wolf stirred uneasily beneath her skin. She moved cautiously, paws or feet, silent on the moss-covered ground. Every shadow seemed alive, every rustle a potential threat, and then she saw them, shapes moving with lethal precision, circling in the underbrush, cutting off the paths of escape. A trap. Her heart thundered, muscles coiling as adrenaline surged. This was no ordinary raid. It was calculated, targeted. Someone had marked her as the key. Her secret, her hidden power, was about to be used against the pack she had sworn to protect. "Come out." A voice hissed from the shadows, mocking and cruel. "We know what you hide. Show yourself, little wolf, and maybe we'll let you live." Her wolf growled, claws flexing, teeth bared. Every instinct screamed at her to strike, to run, to protect herself. But reason cut through the primal impulse. She had to think, she had to survive. From the corner of her eye, she sensed him. The Alpha. He had arrived silently, as always, a shadow among shadows, his presence both comforting and infuriating. Yet he did not intervene immediately. He was letting her make the choice, show the wolf or risk everything. With a sharp inhale, she stepped forward, letting the tension build. "You underestimate me," she said, voice low and steady, carrying the authority of the wolf within. Then, with a movement swift as lightning, her body shifted. Bones reshaped, fur rippled under the moonlight, claws and fangs bared in perfect harmony with her power. The rival pack faltered, their confidence dissolving into hesitation. Her wolf surged forward, agile, lethal, each movement precise, instinct and control perfectly balanced. She struck, weaving through the ambush, each attack measured to protect herself while making her strength undeniable. And then she felt him beside her, the alpha fierce, commanding, moving as if they were a single entity. He did not touch her, did not claim her, but his presence anchored her, amplified her instincts, and reminded her of the bond that had begun to form between them. The rival wolves scattered, defeated by the raw force and coordination of two wolves working in unison. Breathing heavily, she reverted partially, keeping her form mostly human but leaving subtle hints of her power visible, a warning and a statement all at once. The forest fell silent, but the tension lingered like smoke. He studied her with those golden eyes, a mixture of awe, curiosity, and unspoken questions flickering across his face. "You're playing a dangerous game," he murmured, voice low, dangerous, threaded with desire. "But I like it." Her heart pounded, not just from the fight, but from the undeniable thrill of the connection, the shared danger, the magnetic pull between them. She knew one thing for certain: hiding was no longer enough. Somewhere deep, her wolf grinned, and she realized, with a thrill that was almost reckless, that this bond, the danger, the tension, the alpha, was hers to navigate, and hers alone. The forest was thick with tension, every leaf trembling as if it sensed what was coming. She pressed herself against the rough bark of an ancient tree, muscles taut, senses screaming at her to stay alert. The rival pack had cornered her, no paths of escape remained, and her pulse pounded not just with fear, but with the raw, dangerous anticipation of revelation. "They're going to use me," she whispered to herself, the words barely audible above the rustling branches. The wolf beneath her skin growled low, a warning and a challenge, impatient for release. Enough hiding. Enough restraint. From the shadows she could see him, the alpha. His golden eyes glimmered in the moonlight, tracking her every movement, calm yet unrelenting. He had followed her, as always, silent and unyielding, a steady presence that both terrified and exhilarated her. She knew that tonight nothing could remain hidden. The rival wolves lunged, teeth bared, eyes full of malice. She exhaled sharply, and with a shuddering ripple, her form began to shift. Bones elongated, muscles expanded, fur erupted across her body in waves of gold and silver that shimmered under the moonlight. Her claws tore through the earth, powerful and precise, and her howl, full, raw, unrestrained, split the night. The alpha stepped forward, his gaze locked on her in a mixture of shock and awe. She was fully revealed, every hidden strength laid bare, every secret of her power illuminated. The rival pack froze, uncertainty overtaking their aggression as the true magnitude of her wolf form became undeniable. You're... His voice faltered, unable to find words worthy of the sight before him. Golden eyes met hers, a storm of curiosity, desire, and something deeper flickering in the depths. She lowered her body slightly, muscles coiled, heartbeat racing, not just from the fight, but from the gravity of this moment. "I told you there was more," she said, voice low, dangerous, yet tinged with something almost tender. "Now you see me, all of me." For a heartbeat, the forest held its breath. Even the wind seemed to pause, caught in the electric tension between them. Her wolf growled softly, a sound that was both warning and invitation, and she realized that the alpha's awareness now carried a weight far beyond mere curiosity. He stepped closer, careful, deliberate, his presence commanding yet intimate. "I didn't know," he murmured, voice low, threaded with awe and something else, something she dared not name. She let her gaze linger, letting the moment stretch, dangerous and exquisite. Secrets were laid bare, bonds began to form, and in that silver-lit forest, she understood that the alpha now knew her fully, and that nothing would ever be the same again. Her wolf had been unmasked, and the world and the Alpha would never forget it. The clearing still pulsed with the remnants of her unmasked power, the scent of fur and earth lingering in the moonlit air. She had reverted partially to human form, claws hidden, but the glow in her golden eyes could not be fully contained. Every muscle in her body still hummed with adrenaline, every instinct primed for survival. And then he stepped forward, Dalpha, leader, predator, and something more. His presence was overwhelming, radiating authority and desire in equal measure. Golden eyes narrowed, jaw tight, the tension in his shoulders speaking volumes. He had witnessed her full strength, her hidden wolf, and the weight of it pressed upon both of them. "You showed yourself," he said, voice low, controlled, but edged with fury. In front of them, in front of the pack, her pulse quickened not with fear but with a spark of defiance. "I had no choice," she whispered, voice steady despite the storm in her chest. "They were going to use me against the pack. I protected us all." He took another step closer, eyes flashing like molten gold. "You disobeyed, revealed secrets, risked everything I've worked to protect. Do you understand what that means?" "Yes," she replied, tilting her head, letting a flicker of her wolfish pride show. "I understand, but I also know I'm stronger than anyone realizes, including you." His fury softened slightly, a flash of conflicted emotion crossing his face. Anger mixed with awe, authority tangled with undeniable attraction. "You're reckless," he said, his voice low, dangerous, and yet, "I can't look away. You make me question everything I thought I knew." Her heart pounded, wild and unrestrained. The magnetic pull between them was undeniable, crackling like lightning in the forest clearing. Every step he took brought him closer, tension coiling between them. Her wolf growled softly, sensing his own, recognizing the danger and the desire. In the Alpha's gaze, "You're mine to protect," he said suddenly, his voice dropping into a low, commanding rumble that sent shivers down her spine. "And I will not allow anyone, any threat, any rival, any pack to harm you, even if it means controlling you." She froze, pulse hammering, her wolf stirring beneath her skin. His words were a warning, a declaration, and something dangerously intimate all at once. "Control," she whispered, voice trembling with equal parts defiance and longing. "Yes," he said, stepping close enough that she could feel his warmth, smell the sharp tang of wolf and man intertwined. "Because I don't just want your safety. I want you, all of you, and I will not apologize for wanting what is mine to claim." The forest seemed to hum around them, alive with tension, desire, and the raw power of the bond threading them together. She could not retreat, could not deny the pull, and in the shadow of his wrath, she felt the spark of something far more dangerous than anger, the undeniable heat of their forbidden connection. Her wolf growled, soft and approving, and in that moment she knew that no force in the forest, no rival, no pack, no fear, would ever break the bond now forming between them. The pack house buzzed with unease, whispers twisting through the corridors like sharp knives. Word of her revealed wolf had spread, carried by those who feared her power and envied the Alpha's attention. Eyes followed her at every turn, some wide with awe, others narrowed with suspicion, and more than one glimmered with betrayal. She moved through the halls cautiously, shoulders squared, heart pounding. Every step was measured, every glance deliberate. Her wolf growled low in her chest, alert to every hidden threat, every shift in loyalty. She had faced rivals and enemies before, but now the very foundations of trust within her own pack trembled. They're questioning his judgment. A young pack member whispered as she passed, voice trembling. How can he trust someone so unbound? Her lips curved into a tight, controlled smile. Let them question. She murmured under her breath. It only strengthens what they don't understand. From the shadows she sensed him, Alpha, vigilant, golden eyes piercing the room even without looking directly at her. He had been watching, judging, weighing the currents of loyalty and deception swirling around her. And she knew that tonight his patience would be tested. The rival factions within the pack made their moves subtle but pointed. Alliances shifted, Friends whispered doubts, and even those who once smiled at her now watched with wary suspicion. Every corner she turned seemed fraught with hidden danger, every face a mask hiding intent. She paused in the central hall, golden eyes sweeping over the gathering. "Enough," she said, voice firm, carrying a command that silenced murmurs. Her wolf rumbled in agreement, a deep, resonant vibration that spoke of power and authority. The room grew still. She could see them, the doubts in their eyes, the hesitation, the fear of what she could do if provoked. The alpha appeared beside her, silent, commanding. His gaze met hers, and in that single look, she felt both warning and reassurance. "Trust is tested in fire," he murmured, voice low, private. "Those who doubt you now will learn, or they will fall away." Her chest tightened, pride and relief mingling. Loyalty was fragile, but it could be forged anew. She knew she had to hold strong, not just for herself, but for the pack, and for him. A sudden shift at the edge of the hall made her wolf stir. Eyes narrowed, instincts on high alert. The alpha's hand brushed lightly against her shoulder, a silent tether, a promise. "We face this together," he said, golden gaze unwavering. "No one betrays the pack, or you, without consequence." The weight of betrayal lingered, heavy as stone, but so did the bond forming between them. And as tension crackled through the air like lightning, she realized that the final test of trust, and of love, was only beginning. The moon hung high, bathing the forest in silver light, casting long shadows across the clearing. She stood at its center, chest rising and falling with steady breaths, every muscle coiled, every sense alive. The pack had gathered, murmurs of disbelief and awe echoing around her as golden eyes swept over her form. Tonight she would stop hiding. Tonight there would be no lies, no restraint, no fear. A deep inhale and the transformation began. Fur rippled across her body, golden and silver strands catching the moonlight, muscles reshaping with elegant power. Claws dug into the earth, tail sweeping with controlled grace, eyes glowing like molten sunlight. Her wolf was no longer hidden, no longer secret. She had embraced it fully, and in doing so embraced herself. Gasps echoed through the pack. Some stepped back, fear and admiration battling in their expressions. Whispers of awe carried across the clearing. "She is stronger than we imagined. She is magnificent." And then she saw him, the alpha standing at the edge of the clearing, golden eyes locked on hers, every fiber of his being taut with pride, awe, and desire. He stepped forward, deliberate, commanding, yet careful, as if afraid to break the fragile balance of this moment. "You," he breathed, voice low, roughened by emotion. "You've always been more than I realized, more than any of us could have imagined." Her wolf growled softly, a sound that carried power and acceptance. And then, finally, the bond between them snapped into place, undeniable, fierce, and eternal. She lowered herself slightly, meeting him halfway, not in submission, but in acknowledgement of the shared strength between them. He closed the distance, hands brushing against her fur, eyes never leaving hers. "You are mine," he murmured, voice thick with intensity, "and I am yours always." The pack watched captivated as the alpha reached out, not to control, but to honor, to accept, to claim the wolf who had hidden in shadow for far too long. She pressed her forehead to his, teeth bared in a soft, wolfish smile, heart thrumming in sync with his. Every hidden moment, every secret struggle, every whispered lie had led to this. A soft chorus of growls and approving murmurs rose from the pack. Allies and rivals alike acknowledged her power, her courage, her rightful place by the alpha's side. Loyalty, trust, and love had been forged in the fires of danger and deceit, and now the pack stood united. The wind stirred, rustling leaves like applause. Moonlight shone on her fully revealed wolf form, magnificent and untamed, yet tempered by the bond she now shared with the alpha. The tension that had gripped them, that had threatened to tear everything apart, melted into a quiet, unshakable peace. "You are everything," he whispered, nuzzling her gently, golden eyes reflecting pride, love, and destiny intertwined. "And I will never let you hide again." Her wolf purred, soft and content, finally at home, not just in form, but in heart. And as the forest held them in its silver glow, the alpha and his mate stood united, their bond sealed in fire, moonlight, and the undeniable truth. She was his, fully, fiercely, and forever.